The opportunity is now there for Joao Felix to move on. Benfica have confirmed they've received an offer in the realms of about €126 million. That's beyond his buyout clause. Atletico Madrid want him and are prepared to put the money on the table. Shaka, is it a good buy?
I think so. I think so for a number of reasons. There aren't many young talents like Joao Felix coming through, heavily quoted or reported to be a lot of interest from any number of big clubs across Europe. At only 19 years old and at a $120 million buyout clause, you could understand why some of those clubs were a little bit sceptical. At the same time, you could also understand why Atletico Madrid have been as prepared as they are to put that kind of money on the table. They've gone over the release clause because they wanted to structure some of those payments. And if you look at Atleti's recent history in particular, with bringing young talents through, Fernando Torres, albeit he came through their academy. Diego Costa arrived at just before his 20th birthday, I believe. Antoine Griezmann arrived a little bit later than Joao Felix is right now. And look at the return they got for their investment, not just in terms of transfer fees and sell-ons, but in terms of performances. Now, if I'm Joao Felix, again, looking at that history, it's of interest to me in terms of my own development. It's a hefty price tag, and as much as you understand that going into Atletico Madrid, particularly under Diego Simeone, there'll be a lot asked of you in terms of work rate. I think if you kind of follow how things have gone, you know that you're going to come out the other side a world-class talent. Right now, he's got those foundations. There's still a lot of rough edges about his game, but I think Atletico Madrid in particular have shown that they can smooth out those edges and turn talents like his into world beaters.
To become a world beater, that's the aim, isn't it? Obviously, at 19 years of age, they're buying bags of potential. He's a slight figure. Physically, they'll be looking for him to maybe sort of bulk up a little bit, but obviously he needs to be able to keep that work rate going under Diego Simeone, and he might turn out a very different player to the one he's been at Benfica.
Yeah, but see, that I think is a good thing. Yeah. Like, and as much as we talk about his physique and a slight figure, as you put it, he's 19 years old. That's par for the course. You don't see many 19-year-olds, maybe Diego Costa aside, who have that kind of a physical presence that you need, or maybe you expect, or you will expect in 4 or 5 years' time. That's part of the that's part of the process. A process that, as I mentioned, I think Atletico Madrid in particular know as well as anybody in European football. So this ticks a lot of boxes for me, from both Joao Felix's perspective and from Atletico Madrid's, and for the player. If I'm the player, if I'm advising, again, I just look at the successes that Atletico Madrid have had with their strikers, how good they've been, how good they've made them, and this makes perfect sense. You also know that Atletico Madrid will sell you on in a few years' time. You don't have to make that big move to the biggest club right now. You know that you continue to hone your skills. Atletico Madrid, at the right price, will or will not stand in your way if, you know, in 4 or 5 years' time, a Real Madrid or Juventus or Barcelona or whoever it may be comes a calling.
Yeah, financially, it would appear that this would be a wash with the Antoine Griezmann money that they're going to receive when his contract actually officially expires. When you look at that and the outlay that they're going to have to make, do you think that played a part in Atleti saying, well, we're willing to take the chance, as opposed to some of these other teams who might spot a lot of potential in him, but weren't ready to roll the dice quite yet, given his age and given he's only really had 1 or 1.5 breakout seasons?
Absolutely. 19 years old, 126 million, or whether you're just willing to match the buyout clause at 120 on a 19-year-old, is a gamble for most. But again, Atleti have made that gamble, and it's paid dividends for them more than the average European club. So I think that kind of spurs their own willingness, how good they have been in that regard. But similarly, you understand everybody else's kind of cautious approach to it. They're far more willing to spend twice that money in 4 or 5 years' time on a completed article than take the gamble, an uncertain gamble, right now on a 19-year-old.
Yeah, so if indeed it does come off and it's Atletico Madrid that's the destination for Joao Felix, it's going to be one of the two-watch partnerships next year. Diego Simeone on the sidelines, Joao Felix, the precocious new Ronaldo from Portugal and Benfica on the pitch, weaving magic for Atletico Madrid fans.